there is plenty of challenges. Obviously, going through the Northwest Passage, which is probably the most remote and difficult areas of the world.
Hello everyone, this is August, back with another On the Wind episode for your ears. Hope you are doing well out there. I am doing great myself. Summer has arrived in Norway at last, and I am busy prepping Isbjørn for the upcoming Shetland race, which starts on the 21st of June. So that'll be really fun. I hope for a good result. I've done that race several times before, but not on Isbjørn, so that'll be very exciting. So if you're in Lervik that weekend, come by the boat and say hi, or if you're in the race, I will see you out there, hopefully as you are disappearing over the horizon in my wake. Lots of other things happening here at 59 North as well. I've been particularly busy on our membership site, the QuarterDeck, lately. We've been having interesting discussions, live Q&As, and a few of what we call seamanship scenarios, where we tell a story of a particularly challenging situation that we have encountered at sea, and then we discuss and debate live with our members how we could have best solved the situation, how we did solve the situation, and whether or not that was smart or not, and maybe more importantly, how we could have avoided those kind of situations in the first place. This weekend, I told a story of when my boat froze in and got stuck. And the weekend before that, we discussed what happened when my crewmate once tried to collect seawater from our 8-knot wake using a huge bucket secured to a string tied around her index finger. So if you want to know how all of that went, you can go and check out the QuarterDeck today at quarterdeck.59-north.com. You will get a 2-week free trial, and we record and archive all of our videos and live streams and everything, so you can watch hours and hours of material that's already on there, as well as joining the discussion during upcoming events. Hope to see you there. All right, hope you enjoy this interview. Terje is just going all out on his boyhood dreams here, and I found it all very inspiring and beautiful and absolutely awesome. You guys know my affinity for the polar explorers of old, so this conversation was right up my alley. So please enjoy, have a beautiful day, and always remember to hold fast. This season of On the Wind is sponsored by our good friend and yacht sales professional Forbes Horton Yachts. Many 59 North crew members and staff members have made their boat dreams come true with the help from Forbes, and he's been working with us several times, and it's always a blast. Get in touch with Forbes, he will help you find the right boat for you, and I promise that you're going to learn a lot in the process. Go to his website and have a look at the listings there. The site is beautiful, fast, intuitive, and it's just a pleasure to browse all the boats on there. Info's good, pictures good, lots of amazing boats, and it's just a perfect place to go and hang out and daydream a little bit. So go and find it at forbesyachts.com. That's Foxtrot, Oscar, Romeo, Bravo, Echo, Sierra, yachts.com. And if you happen to find your dream boat somewhere other than on his website and need a buyer's broker that works for you, Forbes is your guy. He's going to take care of you and make sure you get the best deal possible. Thanks a lot to Forbes Horton Yachts for sponsoring the podcast. This season of the podcast is supported by diveblue.com, who makes these tankless scuba diving kits that you can use to snorkel and discover the underwater world and to maintain and inspect your boat very efficiently. They are little, very portable, battery-powered units that you leave them on the surface, and then there is a tube down to you under the water, and then this battery-powered floating pack will provide air for you while you are free to explore and work and do whatever you need to do underwater. They have a lot of different kits and setups, and so you can get one that works best for you. And they have batteries that range from 45 to 90 minutes, and kits that go from max depth of 10 feet to one that goes down to 30 feet. And they seem really cool. We have one on our Falcon boat, and it's going to be super nice to have when we need to clean the hull, inspect the propellers, and check out rudders and everything that we need to do underneath the waterline. And also just really fun to go reef snorkeling and kind of exploring when you anchor up in a new spot and just want to see what's going on down there. Also, I can imagine this being really good for diving down to look at anchors. If you drop things and tools and all kinds of stuff over the side, we know we've all done it. This will be great for going down there and mess around in the sand and trying to get it back. So go and check out all their cool stuff. It's at diveblue.com. That's DIVEBLU and the number 3.com. Thank you so much to Dive Blue for sponsoring the podcast. Welcome to On the Wind, the podcast about offshore sailing. I'm your host, August Sandberg. Roald Amundsen was the first to reach the South Pole and the North Pole, but his greatest achievement might have been the first successful crossing of the Northwest Passage in 1906. Terje Andre Pedersen grew up with and was inspired by Amundsen's stories, followed his dreams, and is soon to set sail towards the Northwest Passage in Amundsen's wake, with a ship made of wood and a crew made of iron. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the On the Wind podcast. And today I am joined by Terje Andre Pedersen. How are you doing today, Terje?
Good morning. I'm very good, thank you. I'm very pleased to be here with 59 North.
Yeah, I'm pleased to have you. Thank you for joining me. I feel like we have existed in the same world for a while, so it's good to finally meet up and see your face, even though we're on Zoom at the moment, so we're not meeting physically, sadly. But where are you in the world right now? Do you want to give us some setting for where you're at?
So right now I'm in Trondheim. So I work and live in Trondheim, in the middle of Norway. So I'm frequently traveling to Oslo and also up north to Tromsø and the Lofoten, where Alma is located. So I have a very flexible job on the outside of sailing as well. So I'm not a professional sailor, not yet at least. So we'll see with the future.
Okay, very exciting. And do introduce us to Alma, please. Who is she?
Yeah, Alma is a what we call a Hardanger yacht, which is a very traditional Norwegian design. And the rig, for instance, is identical to the rigs that they had back in the 1850s. She's a copy of Anna of Sand, which is a Hardanger yacht located in Stavanger, which is one of the really old original ones. So Alma is it looks very old and traditional, which she is, but she's been first launched in the water in 2012. So although it's an old design, it's a new structure. So we have modern facilities, and we have heating inside, and we have it has the look of the old traditional boats, but she has the modern facilities.
Very
So we have
yeah, very cool. So she is she's recently built then, but she's made in the traditional way. It's wood all the way through and all that.
it's wood all the way through, but it's been using modern materials. And she was built by the community or the municipal of Karmøy, and they used 12 years to build her.
Wow.
So that was a school project that took them 12 years to finish.
Huh.
But when they had finished the project, they didn't know exactly what to do with it. So during Corona, they had to cut down on their budget, and they put her out for sale.
Wow.
So then I bought her back in 2020.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That was
So
quite the story.
it's quite a story, yes.
There
And
must have been many hours of work has gone into that boat. I'm sure.
many. And the Alma is basically a replica of the famous ship Gjøa that Amundsen transited the Northwest Passage with. She's 17 feet shorter, but she has about the same displacement, same weight as Gjøa.
Very
So yeah.
exciting. Was that a and so it was based on this boat called Anna, but she was also a replica of Yura then, or
Well, Anna of Sand and Gjøa, they were both built on the design of this old traditional Hardangerjakt
mm,
that they used for trading back in the old days. So Gjøa was an old fishing vessel actually. So Anna of Sand and Gjøa has the same principle of design, and same does Alma.
very
So
very cool. And when you saw this boat coming out for sale, did you already have like big sailing plans, or were you looking for a boat, or was this just kind of an opportunity that you just jumped
well,
on?
since I've been a small kid, I'm not a youngster anymore. I'm 58, so I've been probably dreaming for it for 50 years or so. That these type of boats are extremely cool boats, and I've been dreaming about being skipper on one at some time. And then she came out for sale, so most people would say that she's too big to handle, but I'm a little bit adventurous. So I thought, okay, let's give it a go. So I bought her and took the risk. And then, of course, I had also the Northwest Passage in mind at that point of time. But the cost of a boat like Alma is so extreme, so that it's hard to think that you would get the opportunity to own one. So it was a very happy coincidence that I was at the right place at the right time to be able to buy it.
Right.
So I didn't have the plans first. I bought Alma first, and then I created the plans.
Okay. And what are the plans?
Well, as Alma is a replica of Gjøa, it feels very natural to try to do something similar as Gjøa did back in 1903, 1906, transiting the Northwest Passage. So that's our overall goal. We have a goal of transiting in 2026 through 2027. So that's a 12-month expedition, and in the years ahead of that, we're doing as Amundsen did, planning and testing the crew and the boat. So, for instance, last year we were sailing both to Jan Mayen, Greenland, Iceland, Scotland, and we also had 4 weeks up at Svalbard. So we've been quite active, and we are going back to Greenland now in August.
Right.
So at the moment we have a cooperation with another charter company as well, trying to bring guests with us. So we are dependent on not funding, but we're dependent on having guests to be able to fund the Northwest Passage in 2026. So in the 3 years going forward, we are bringing guests to remote areas like Jan Mayen and Greenland, Iceland. And basically, preparing, and we think that it sounds maybe long to prepare for 3 years, but it really is necessary to plan and test the crew and the ship for such a long time.
That sounds like a very good call. It's it's with all the modern inventions in boat design and material sciences and the like, it's going back and sailing through on a wooden boat. Is that what are the challenges of that, or did you do anything? What's your kind of plan for dealing with ice and stuff like that?
Yeah, there is plenty of challenges. Obviously, going through the Northwest Passage, which is probably the most remote and difficult areas of the world, and so it's extremely important to be prepared and be able to handle and understand the weather and the ice conditions. I think that's mostly the most important. And in the last winter, we were at Hardanger Fartøyvern Center for 6 months and doing, general maintenance, but also changing all the seacocks, so on, and then also putting on ice sheeting, copper ice sheeting, so that she can safely go in the ice. So,
Very
and that's also, yeah.
very cool. And that was, if I'm not mistaken, that is the same place where Yua was built originally. Is that right?
It's the same place where Yua was built, but Yua was operating up in the Barents Sea as a fishing vessel before Amundsen bought her. And Amundsen, when they had tested the ship for a year, they put on ice sheeting as well, and that was done by the Tromsø ship's werft, Tromsø ship's yard. So I actually called them last year to ask them, and I explained what we were doing, and we would like to put ice sheeting on the same place as the Amundsen did with the Gjøa. And the manager there, he knew the story, and he said he confirmed that the Gjøa had been there, but the knowledge about doing that kind of work had been lost up there. So that's why we did it at Hardanger. And of course, Hardanger Fartøyvern Center, that's probably one of the world's most knowledgeable yards that can do this kind of work. So we feel that we're also in a way maintaining our cultural heritage, the Norwegian cultural heritage by doing this. We're trying to do it the old-fashioned way as much as we can. But at the same time, we also know that one of the qualities of Amundsen, that he always used the best of technology that he had. So when we're saying that we're going in the footsteps of Amundsen, we feel it's prudent also to, use the technology that we have as of today. So we have
Yeah.
modern navigation systems. We have, we have heating. We have 3 bathrooms with showers. We have, satellite phones, and we got all the modern stuff in an old structure.
Yeah.
So we,
I love that. I think you're right. I think if Amundsen were alive today, he would have just loved all of these things. You know
yes,
how progressive he was in his time with his use of airships and airplanes and
yeah,
all of these modern
yeah,
things that
yeah,
people thought were kind of crazy.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, no, that is a cool mix
yeah,
and yeah, I gotta agree with the Hardanger Fartøyvern. They are the things that they are doing down there are just amazing. Do you know the ship Gurine of
yes, I know.
Rosendal? Yeah,
Yes,
I knew you would. She's
yes,
she's I met up with her just a couple of weeks ago, and she's the actual sister ship of you, I believe,
yes,
launched around the same time
exactly.
and just beautifully restored and
Yes.
just yeah, just a
So
really
I
amazing.
did actually talk to them this winter and said maybe we should, because they also had plans of going through the Northwest Passage.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yes, they had. So I said maybe we should, cooperate. Maybe we should do something. How cool wouldn't it be that we had 2 boats going through the Northwest Passage and coming into San Francisco Bay with all the sails hoisted? Would be a pretty amazing view. and
Yeah.
and they liked the idea, but they've been kind of caught up with kind of the traditional elements that we have today, with the financing, with the having enough skippers, and they kind of given up on that idea,
Hmm. I
unfortunately.
see. Yeah.
So
Well,
this
it's
is this is yeah, but this is quite classical. When what we're doing here is try not to be too organized, try not to be too big, and not to have you know too many owners that will have their saying. Because if you start to analyze and doing the risk and consequence analysis, and you know you'll find excuses not to go.
yeah.
So you have, and that's also what Amundsen did back in the 120 years ago. If he said, okay, we just have to go and take it as it comes, but we have to be very well prepared for the unexpected.
Hmm.
That's the same that we are trying to do. That we need to be well prepared. We need to have contingency, but let's not over plan and not over risk it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we will never go.
Yeah, that's the age old balance there that you need to find. So
Yeah,
yeah, then it's really cool how you guys it sounds like you always have Amundsen in the back of your head and trying to follow in his footsteps, both physically and in the kind of spiritual way. For
yeah,
those, I mean, for us Norwegians and especially us sailing Norwegians, this story of Amundsen and the Northwest Passage is so well known, but maybe out there I'm not sure how the rest of the world how well they know the story. Do you want to just tell the story of that expedition?
yeah. And that's the hunt for the Northwest Passage had been going on since the 1500 century. And if you could find a passage between the Atlantic and the Pacific, going west, it would significantly enhance the trades, particularly with Britain and the Far East, or Europe and the Far East. So uh, it's probably one of the most described challenging waters, I would say. And we I guess everyone have heard about the Franklin expedition and all the ships that has been lost up in the Northwest Passage over the 400-500 years before Amundsen. And Amundsen, it was not such that he kind of went up there totally without any pieces of puzzle laid already. He knew that there were many pieces of the puzzle was already laid, so they had a lot of information already. The Lancaster Sound had been found, and they knew that you could go in through the Bering Strait. So Amundsen basically found the last pieces of the puzzle, and when you read the books of Amundsen, also he gives a lot of credit to previous adventurers and expeditions that did a lot of the job for him. So yes, he did the last few puzzles, but there have been many countries, many explorers that have been up there and doing a lot of job, who many lost their lives as well. And of course, Franklin being the most serious one, with 138 people lost, on the Erebus and Terror. So that's one of the things that we are. I guess most people have heard that the Erebus and Terror was discovered again back in 2016. So now they're actually it's possible to actually dive on these two ships, because they're sunk actually only on 26 meters of depth.
Oh, really?
So you can actually just by snorkeling, you don't need equipment even. You will, when you just snorkel, you will see the Terror and Erebus very clearly on the sea bottom, on the northwest and west side of King William's Land.
Okay. Wow.
So that's pretty cool. So that's one of the things that we're going to do up there to, it doesn't
visit the ships and see them and
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's going to be pretty cool.
Very cool, indeed.
Not many people have dived on Erebus and Terror. That's for sure.
Yeah. How are they? That's quite the that story of that expedition is a haunting one, for sure. It's how are the ships? Are they well preserved? It's
I haven't seen any pictures, but they say that they are fairly well preserved because of the cold water. So, but like they're saying that you can see the ships clearly. So they are ships, not only they're not only wreckages. You will see the ships. And well, I actually seen a couple of pictures on the back end of Terror, I think, and it looks pretty cool. It's you can definitely see that it is those ships that Franklin sailed up there.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I've seen so much material from the. I'm sure you know about the Endurance. Shackleton's Endurance was found recently in Antarctica, and it was crazy to see the photos and the videos of that ship. It looked like it had sunk just a decade ago.
Yeah,
it was so well preserved. So something about the waters in these latitudes, I guess. So What do you think it was? Because, like you said, the Northwest Passage was this like great kind of holy grail of exploration for, centuries. And what do you think it was about Ura and Amundsen that kind of was the team that eventually made it? What do you think they did differently? What was unique?
I think the one thing that stands out is that he was humble to the local Inuits. The Brits, they were calling the Inuits for savages, wild people that you could not learn from. Whereas Amundsen and his crew, they treated the Inuits nice, and they gave from what they had, and they learned a lot from the Inuits. How to dress, how to work, how to catch a seal, how to survive. Because they say that the Franklin crew, they were for sure discovered by the Inuits, but the Inuits did not want to be involved with them. And the Franklin people, they were not far from Johan. So if they had known how to survive, they could have killed seals and been able to survive. But they died from starvation and hunger and cold. And being in the same environment as Amundsen and the Inuits, which survives very perfectly. They can even have a good life up there. So you have the same environment, same type of challenges, but one culture survives, another one dies, and I think that is related to being humble to your environment that you pass into. So that's something that we also are bringing to us. Also now, for instance, when we go to Greenland, we see that when we come with Alma, they are much more interested in what we're doing, and we ask people Inuits on board Alma, whereas bigger ships, they try to keep them off, or they don't want to be invited. Or when you have the big cruise ships, they close the shops, for instance. They don't want to. Don't want to be involved in that kind of culture that just comes in with their suits and just to look. So I think Alma brings maybe a sense of comfort and a different, a little bit more humble expression than a big fancy yacht or a big fancy, cruise ship. So that's something that we are bringing with us.
That's great. Yeah, I love that, and that was also so many parallels to the original story here, but that was also kind of unique about Johan Amundsen was like the size of the expedition was that it was such a small team, right?
Exactly. So Franklin, they were 138 men, and they were going to try to conquer the nature. Whereas Amundsen said, if there's going to be scarce on the food, so we need to be few people. So we need to be few people and being multi-skilled. So they were a crew only of 7, and we also plan to be a crew of 7. So on Alma we can take 12 people, but the crew is only going to be 7.
I see. That's really, really cool.
So yeah, so our plan there, we're going to be, when I'm saying it's going to be a crew of 7, is that we're going to have a core crew of 7 that's going to be rotating, because none of us have the capacity to be there on full time. So there's going to be like 2, 3 on board, and then the plan is to bring guests as the remaining part of the crew then. So we're going to be like probably around 6 to 8 people on board.
I see. Okay. Very nice.
Yeah.
How is she set up for like this kind of expedition gear and the like? The rigging, is that it's the fore and aft rig. Is that correct? The
No,
yacht
it's on.
or?
Yeah, no, it's only one main mast. There's no aft mast, so we have one big mast with a back sail, and then you have 3 front sail. Flying jib, the cleaver, and the inner jib.
Right. That's right.
Uh,
And then you'll have a diesel engine, I suspect.
We have a big diesel engine, and
Yeah.
we have 3,000 liters of fuel, so we have a reach of 2,500 nautical miles.
Oh, very good.
So it means that if you really want to, we can push through the Northwest Passage in like in 2 weeks if you want. But the plan is to spend more time. But like Amundsen, when Amundsen and his crew, they came out of the Northwest Passage towards the Bering Strait end of August, and they were kind of late and approaching September, and they got ice preventing them from going into the Bering Strait. And so the plan was to go into to Nome. So they had to overwinter another year. So and of course that can happen to us as well. You mentioned about challenges that could it be? Is it possible to freeze in? Which it is. When you go through, you're not going to be able to return and go back. You have to go back into Nome, or you have to overwinter for a year. But today, we have ice maps. We have control of how severe the ice conditions are. So if we see that there's a big northerly gale coming up, we need to push through. Then we will push through. Exactly as Amundsen would have done. He would not have laid down and waited. He would have pushed through. So we have a big modern engine and a lot of fuel. We have a water maker up there, so we can produce 100 liters of water per hour. So we're pretty much self-sufficient for a couple of months if we want. And we do have a rifle on board, so if there is a seal coming by, we can get fresh meat as well.
Perfect. That wouldn't have made Amundsen proud.
Yeah.
Very nice. What is when you knock on wood, you make it through there to the other side? Do you have any what do you do then when Alma is in the Pacific? And
well, we are planning to bring we are planning to offer seats for guests all the way through. So we're going to be in Nome in September, and then September, October, we're going to transit down to San Francisco, and then go down along the coast into California, and then into the Panama Channel. And then, so we'll go in December, we'll be in Panama, and then we will go through Panama, and we will probably celebrate Christmas in the Caribbean.
That sounds like quite a plan, and then you'll sail. Well, we're getting very, very far into the future here, but then you're going to bring her back to Norway then?
Then we will go back to Norway. So we're going to be coming in and pretty much have the same route as you guys have on one of your boats. From going from Cuba up to the northwest, up to Newfoundland, Greenland, Iceland, and back into Norway.
Right.
So we'll be back in Norway, the springtime of 2027.
Okay. Quite the adventure there, and you yourself, you're going to be sort of on and off. That's what you said. Like you're going to join the boat for stretches and then go back. And
yes, exactly. So I'll be on board as much as I can, but I have a wife back in Trondheim, so I need to take care of her as well part of the time.
Yeah, you don't want to. Maybe you don't want to follow in Amundsen's footsteps on that front.
Amundsen, Amundsen was not really happy. He had to prioritize his expeditions, maybe to a too high degree, losing out on the family affairs. So I have my family very dear, so I plan to keep my wife. So even coming back from the Northwest Passage. So, but we are, as I mentioned, we're going to be like seven skippers rotating. So there's going to be plenty of opportunities to be there for shorter or longer time.
That sounds like a good plan. Yeah, I like the fact that you follow Amundsen's advice on the sailing side of things, and maybe not so much on the personal relations wise.
No,
But
no.
that sounds great. What about this the team of yours? What kind of people are you bringing with you on this adventure?
Well, first of all, the team is not really set completely. We are now a group of seven people. Some of them are firm, some of them are maybe. So we're still in a process where we kind of haven't really decided. So we're saying that by fall of 2024, then we're going to really firm up the core crew.
Hmm.
So we'll see, but we plan to have people that are, you know, multi-skilled to the degree as possible. We want at least one of the crew members to have some kind of medical background, either a doctor or a nurse or something. So we'll see. We need to do a little bit the same as Amundsen. We're going to need to have multi-skilled people, and people need to commit. So they, you know, they need to have a prioritization between most people. They do have other jobs as well. Some are, you know, semi-professionals. Some are, you know, fully professional, like the skipper on Alma as we speak. But there is a skipper on Alma full time now called Håkon.
Hmm.
Håkon Engdahl. So we will see, but there's a great interest in coming along with this expedition.
I can imagine. Yeah. Is it how much I mean, this is a very traditional boat, and as with ice copper plating, the some of this knowledge is no longer that easy to come by, I suspect. How easy is it to learn how to sail a boat like that with the gaff rig and it's kind of the bowsprits and the wood and the blocks? How
Well, it takes a little bit time, but you know, the one big advantage with this type of rig when you go on an expedition, that there's very few things that goes wrong. You know, we don't have winches; we only have blocks. Blocks, they don't fail. You know, and we of course you have spare blocks. So it's when once you learn it, of course it takes a little bit to learn to sail a gaff rig. You know, we don't have a rolling Gino,
mm,
but once you learn the tricks and how to do it, you know, it's fairly easy. You know, two people can sail a Gjøa, can sail Alma, fairly easy. But of course, if you go sailing to Greenland or something like that, you need a more crew, of course, to be able to handle her safely.
yeah.
And but we find that you know, when we have guests on board, they really appreciate the opportunity to be able to handle the rig. You know, pull the ropes and through the blocks, and you know, experience how strong a man becomes or a woman becomes when you're pulling a rope that goes through a block. You know,
Yeah.
it's quite intriguing to see how much a block can do.
That is true. That the physics of blocks and tackles is just magic, and I suspect that requires a lot of like teamwork. Like you'll haul on the same ropes, and you have to kind of synchronize
Exactly.
your maneuvers a lot. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean it's we often talk about sailing kind of being popular because it is such like a return to our roots in a way, and trying to deal with all the modern tech that is so hard to escape these days. It's just like getting back to something that's so tangible and traditional and historical. And with a boat like that, I mean, I can just imagine you'll get a lot of that.
Yeah, it's perfect for team building, and we see, for instance, when we went to Greenland last year, there's 8 guests coming from all over the world, at different backgrounds, one musicians, one financial analyst. But when they come on board, they start working on the same rope. They are at the same level straight away, and it's extremely good team building. And when they have dinner later in the evening, downstairs, they're talking about the different events and how they kind of came through it and how they pulled together and so on. So, but you of course you feel that on a normal sailboat as well. But I think you take it to another level on Alma.
Mm. Oh yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Has there been any expeditions like this? Like, has any Norwegians gone through the Northwest Passage on a wooden boat since Amundsen?
Well, we have a cooperation with the Fram Museum here in Norway that probably has the most global knowledge about the Northwest Passage and the Inuits and so on. And the director of the Fram Museum, Geir Kløver, he quoted, you can also see that in our promo video for the Northwest Passage, and he says that Alma will be the first yacht with a Norwegian flag that has followed and transited the Northwest Passage to Nome and having the same route as Amundsen in 1903 to 1906. So there has been other boats going through the Northwest Passage, but not following in the route of Amundsen. So we will be the first boat following that route since
Mm,
1906. So I would say that's pretty cool.
that is indeed pretty cool. How is how has the Northwest Passage changed since Amundsen was through? It's there's been a lot of changes in the Arctic in the last 100 years, and how do you think your experience will differ from his, just based on climate change?
I think we one of our goals is to we're talking with different research institutes to see what we potentially can contribute to. For instance, measuring microplastic and so on going through the Northwest Passage. Do we see any different from east to west, for instance? Stuff like that. I think that when it comes to weather and climate, I'm not quite sure if much have changed, because if you read the books of Amundsen back in 1903, 1906, he himself writes that he is surprised of how little ice there actually is. On the summer of 1905, we said, the passage is open. Well, so he was kind of puzzled that there was little ice there.
Hmm.
So we think that I think that the ice is fluctuating and it varies from year to year. And we see in the Northwest Passage that over the last 10 years, some years the passage has been closed. No boats are able to go through. Other years there are many boats going through.
Hmm.
Some years it's completely open. But for sure, in until mid-July, you will not be able to pass the Northwest Passage, and in September you have to be through. Otherwise, you will be, taken and isolated by the ice.
Hmm.
So the ice is still there. But of course, as as they all are saying, the ice seems to be less and less over the years. So that's something that we like to explore further and see, you know, we know we are gathering information from year to year to see how it varies, and obviously when we go through, we will have details understanding of the ice conditions at the point.
Hmm.
So, but when that's the weather. When it comes to knowledgeable, of course, Amundsen, they didn't even have a map. Today, we have fairly good maps. They're not perfect, but we have maps. And the Johan, when Amundsen and his crew came to Johan, there was nothing there. Today is a village of 1,300 people.
Okay, wow.
With a small airport, so you can actually fly into Johan. You
Right.
can fly into Cambridge Bay. There are several minor, where you can go in with these small planes, with this kind of Cessna type of planes. So you can get supplies, you can get fuel, you can get food, and so on. So of course, in that sense, the risk is far less than obviously than when Amundsen transited in 1906.
Mm.
But so it's going to be different. But we have to be able to be self-sufficient. So that's what we're planning for, and we need to be extremely well prepared. Amundsen and his crew, they were not sure if they were coming through there alive. But
Yeah.
we're definitely going to come through there alive. It's just a matter of how and when and how comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. It's no, I think this is so exciting, and it's like you. I was also very inspired by these stories, ever since I was a little kid, and it's a huge part of why I'm so interested in in the high Arctic and in sailing in general, and all of this. And it's so cool to see you really kind of making these dreams and fantasies come true. It's really cool.
Yeah, at least we're trying. It's still 3 years down the road. There's still hurdles on the road, but the plan is set, and we're aiming for it. So time will show whether we actually succeed or not.
Yeah, I think though that when I first heard about your plans, and you said 2026, that that immediately gave me a feeling of, okay, this is somebody who takes this challenge very seriously. And you guys, you go sailing to Greenland multiple times, and you're making all these preparations. And I think that, to me, that's telling me that you guys are again, just like you said in the beginning here, you have that, you're humble in the face of this challenge, and that humility, I think, is gonna carry you a long way. I often get, I get emails and from people who wants to do these kind of massive passages or sailing expeditions, like right away. Like,
Yeah,
I want to sail up to Svalbard this summer. What kind of boat should I get? And
yeah.
so I think using that time, and like you do, I think that this sounds like it looks like you guys have a very good plan and a good time
Yeah,
frame.
and also, as I say, most expeditions and adventures, they say the planning is half the fun, and we're planning for 4 years, so we're gonna get a lot of fun for kind of for free. So we're
Yeah.
gonna have a lot of fun going there. We're not and the planning is, as you mentioned, in the form of sailing. We're not sitting in the office and planning. We're doing a little bit of that as well, but most of the planning is actually being on board and sail, test, and experience what it is like. Um, and so far, I would say that we had fantastic trips so far, and Alma has really proven up to her reputation. it's very comfortable on board. Even if you have to be outside, that's also something that you have to kind of train for. Being outside. A lot of boats, they have you can go into a cabin and be inside steering. On Alma, you have to steer from the outside, so you
Nice.
get the wind in your face, and so it's a little bit rough and at sometimes, but in the end, most people will appreciate the experience.
Absolutely, the wind in our face. That's why we do this, right?
Exactly.
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 If people want to learn more about this and see this video of yours, how can they find you guys online?
Well, we have a Insta profile, but then you have to seek for from.adventure.
From.adventure, right?
Yeah, so From is the ownership behind Alma.
Oh, so that is your kind of
Yeah, that's the company behind it.
company, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's from.adventure, and then we also have a web page, which is also from, www.framadventure.no.
Okay. Very
And
good.
then, so there will be links to the video that's on YouTube. But also on YouTube, it's possible if you just do a search on Alma, for instance, Alma Northwest Passage, it will come up.
Yeah, I can really recommend people going online and look for that video. It's really great. Was that shot on Svalbard or Greenland or?
No, it was actually shot up in Lofoten and Helgelandskysten in
Oh, wow.
February. In February this year. So there was a small film company called Vertical Films that located in Voss, and they were sailing together with us for almost a week as part of the crew. So they were just doing, so we were just doing our things, and they were doing their things, filming and doing things. So we had a fantastic week in February, going up from Bodø to Svolvær.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was very nice.
that's it's just something about boats like that. They just I can't keep my eye off them even when they're just docked at just at a city waterfront or whatever. But like
Yeah,
seeing them under full sail in the snow and the
yeah,
waves, it is just
and it,
makes you
and
fall in
it
love. It's
yeah, and it's even more fantastic being on board almost than looking at them. You have that feeling that you sense that you're thinking it would be great. It is great to be on board because you have this wood and bigger boats. They kind of they have a different. They absorb the noise, for instance, differently. They move differently. It's just like moving on a cushion.
mm,
So I sleep like a baby even in bad weather on Alma. So
I can imagine. Yeah,
yes, yeah,
fantastic.
yeah,
Great. Well, thank you so much for the chat, Taya. It's really cool to hear about your boat and your expedition. I'm gonna be following you guys closely, and hopefully the two of us will get to. We have a couple opportunities where our boats might be in the same ports, so maybe we'll get.
yeah.
I would love to get a closer look at Alma sometime, and
Sure.
mm.
You're welcome on board anytime, August, and thank you very much for letting me be a host on your podcast. It's been a pleasure.
It's
So
pleasure's all mine. This was great, Thaya. Thank you.
thank you.
All right. Have a nice
Okay.
day.
Yeah, same to
Bye.
you. Bye bye.
Thanks again to Forbes Horton Yachts and to Dive Blue for sponsoring this season of the podcast. Find them at ForbesYachts.com, that's FORBES yachts.com, and at diveblue.com, which is DIVEBLU, the number 3, seamanship.com. Thank you. On the Wind is the podcast about sailing created by 59 North and hosted by me, August Sandberg, and also by Nikki Henderson, Emma Garshagen, and Andy Schell. The show is mixed and produced in Maryland, US by Lee Cumberland. Ads are read by us, the hosts, and occasionally by 59 North's bosun Adam Brown and podcast producer Lee Cumberland. Episode artwork and website show notes are done by Laura Parent in San Francisco. The intro theme music is composed and performed by former podcast guest and musician Cameron Dale, while the outro music you're hearing now is of course by our friends Storm Weather Shanty Choir. We love hearing from our fans, so send your questions and comments to holdfast@59-north.com, and please do us a favor and review the show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time, hold fast.
I made up me mind that I was inclined to go to sea no more. No more, no more, to go to sea no more. I made up me mind that I was inclined to go to sea no more. As I was walking down the street, I met sweet Angeline. She said, come home with me, me lad, and we'll have a cracking time. But when I awoke, it was no joke. I found I was all alone. My silver watch and my money too, and my whole bloody gear was gone. Was gone, was gone. My whole bloody gear was gone. It was when I awoke, it was no joke, for my whole bloody gear was gone. As I was walking down the street, I met Big Rapper Brown. I asked him if he would take me in, and he looked at me with a frown. He said,
last time you was paid up with me, you took up no score. But I'll take your advance and I'll give you a chance to go to sea once more.
once more, once more, to go to sea once more. I'll take your advance and I'll give you a chance to go to sea once more. Sometimes we're catching whales, me lads, but mostly we get none. With a 20-foot oar in every paw from 5 o'clock in the morn. And when daylight's gone and the night's coming on, we rest upon our oars. And oh boys, you wish that you was dead or snug with the girls ashore. Ashore, ashore, or snug with the girls ashore. Oh boys, you wish that you was dead or snug with the girls ashore. Come all you seafaring lads that listen to me song. When you go a big boating, boys, make sure you do not go wrong. You take my tip when you come off a trip. Don't go with any whores, but get married instead and have all night in bed and go to sea no more. No more, no more, to go to sea no more. Get married instead and have all night in bed and go to sea no more. No more, no more, to go to sea no more. Get married instead and have all night in bed and go to sea no more.